What's your reaction to Simone withdrawing from the individual all around?
Well, first I want to say to Simone that we love you and support you, and you've had an amazing career and have represented the United States impeccably. Simone has won 25 world medals. That's the most in gymnastics history, men or women. She won 5 Olympic medals in 2016. She has 4 skills on the floor named after her, on floor, beam, and vault. Her 5 2016 Olympic medals tied for the most by a U.S. gymnast. She's so dominant that ahead of the game that the judges don't actually know how to properly rate her. That's how skilled she is. If she never went to Tokyo, if she never competed again, she would right now be the greatest in history in her sport. And that's not my opinion. That's just the math. Now let's move on to the other side of this, which is the conversation that everyone is having now. She's also a sexual abuse survivor from the team doctor in the sport that she has competed in for her entire life and still accomplished all of those things in spite of that. She said in an interview in April that she wasn't just competing to be a part of gymnastics anymore. She wanted to be the remaining survivor so that that conversation continued. So she admitted this is bigger than gymnastics for her before the Olympics ever even started. She's handled all of that in her career with grace, with poise. She's an ultimate champion, the top of her sport. Honestly, how dare you call her a quitter? How dare you? She did all of this, the top of her sport, in spite of all of that. And she needed a moment for herself, and people are calling her a quitter. The conversation is mental health, right? Mental health is just health. It's just health. We almost need to stop calling it mental health because the stigmas around talking about mental health immediately trigger people to be defensive or call you crazy or call you selfish and start judging how it is you're handling yourself. Everyone, if she hurt her ankle, everyone would be ranting and raving what an incredible career she's had, all of her accomplishments, how in spite of this injury, she's still the greatest to ever do it. Thank her for going to Tokyo in spite of a COVID year with added pressures and procedures and the pressure of being there without your family and support system. But because she's saying it's mental health, which, by the way, if you're a gymnast and you're not locked in, you could be paralyzed, really injured, or possibly even die. So if you're not locked in, it's literally a physical issue as well. If she was saying it was her ankle hurt, everyone will be fine with it. Because she's saying it's mental, there's pushback. We just have to separate mental health from health. Your mental health is health.
You know, I commend Biles as well. And listen, it's sad that she even had to come out and say she's withdrawing because she has to focus on her mental health. It's interesting because when we look at situations, if she had went on the vault and broke her ankle, if she had torn her ACL, if she had broke her wrist, you know what would happen? Everybody would have rushed to her. You know who's everybody? Probably her coach. And who else? The athletic trainers. Now, it's interesting because these things happen in every sport. When an injury takes place, you see people rush to the aid of the person to help them and aid them. We're okay if you get carted off and you say, I have to withdraw. We're okay if people have to help you off, carry you off. It's acceptable because you were able to create closure for the experience. It's okay. But for her to have to say, I have to focus on my mental health, and she had to say it, and there wasn't an athletic trainer that's there for mental health, like physical health, to say that Simone has to focus in on her mental health, and we will give you details if necessary, when needed, at the appropriate and proper time. It further raises the conversation. It further raises the issue of why is it that mental health is not synonymous with physical health? Why is physical therapy important and not mental therapy? You'll go to one of these universities, one of these pro facilities. You'll go into there and you'll see an amazing place to practice. You'll see an amazing place to work out. They'll put millions of dollars into weights in training to build you up strong to be able to compete at the highest level. If something goes wrong and you get hurt, they have every single knowledge and discipline to be able to treat, from a fingernail being hanging from your hand to something that happens to your head to something that happens to your toe. Every inch of your body can be treated in this amazing state-of-the-art facility. But where's the facility for mental health? Where are the people on site for mental health? And that is where the problem lies, and that is where the conversation has to go, Rick. And to have Simone Biles to be as a big a personality, as big a success story as she has been, have to take the weight of that on her own and not have the support of the team take the front and take the lead of saying, this is real, this is serious. She should not have had to do that. And it certainly should not go down the lane of calling her a quitter when looking at what her body of work has been, and also understanding how hard it would take to achieve and get to the level of where she is to even compete in the first place.
Yeah, Simone Biles is forcing us to have a conversation about a difficult subject, and a subject that we don't necessarily have the language to treat appropriately or have the knowledge and the insight collectively. And I think you're seeing it because it's being discussed around the sports world by a lot of people who don't have any particular insight into exactly what's going on with Simone Biles. But I applaud that because our progress has always come from having difficult conversations, uncomfortable conversations, as our man Emmanuel Acho pointed out, uncomfortable conversations with a black man, and utilizing that to improve race relations and understanding between all people. And so that's where I believe that she is taking us. And it's part of the same evolution. You mentioned it, LaVar, that like there was a time where you were just supposed to rub dirt on a physical injury, suck it up, play with it. You were soft if you didn't play through that injury. And we've gotten smarter now about how we approach that physical aspect of the game. And I dare say that now the next step for us is to understand that mental health can have the same impact. It used to be like we could make those, he's a quitter, because we'd look at somebody who physically broke down and wasn't able to continue. And we applauded those athletes who, in spite of whatever was going on, physically trudged through it, win or lose. We've gotten smarter about the damage being done when athletes do that. And now we need to get smarter about the damage being done when we ask athletes to go through the same thing mentally. We can't see inside of an athlete's body to know how they're being affected physically when it comes to an injury, to suggest somebody, oh, he should be able to play with that, or she should be able to play with that. That we learned that was foolish to take that and make that a public statement. Now we're kind of doing the same thing with the mental health. We can't look into Simone Biles' head and know what's going on there any more than we could look inside her body. And so we just need to learn to be smarter and better. The difficulty here for me is we're asking a Simone Biles and a Naomi Osaka to be the spokespersons and the people to educate all of us on what's going on. And they're just learning about it themselves. What the treatment is for it, how to approach this, what's going on. Like, that's a very difficult position for them to be in. And the problem is for those who want to just dismiss it as being soft, then it leaves the opening for them to be critical of the subject just because of the conversation or how it's being delivered. And that's where, Simone Biles and Naomi and the sports world need help from people who can better understand and explain exactly how the mental health aspect of this puts athletes in jeopardy if they continue to try to compete in spite of the fact that mentally they're just not all there.
Well, sports is a microcosm of society, and mental health is a huge conversation that has stigmas in many communities. all around the world. So very often we see sports as a catalyst for change with social issues, racial issues, gender issues, age issues, all kinds of things. And sports is the catalyst that changes that and sometimes sparks the conversation and moves the rest of the world outside of sports forward. So yes, everyone has to deal with their mental health, which is really just health. Your brain is inside of your body, your spirit, your emotions are inside of your body. But there is a stigma around speaking out. And you're seeing why when you see the reaction that people have towards these athletes when they do say, hey, I need this, and I need help here, or I need a moment, or I need this space. Aaron Rodgers talked about it today. He needed some space. He took his time in the offseason to focus on him. That is not abnormal to any human person. Everyone needs that. We all deal with that. But because we have these expectations of athletes and they are a bit dehumanized because of the fact that they're on our televisions, we root for them, the money that they make, they become these figures instead of humans with the same factors and emotions and physical elements that the rest of us have. So I think, sports can be a catalyst for change in that space. So I agree with you, Rick. It's a bigger conversation that we have to have in society. And I'm just glad that the team and, USA Gymnastics and, many of the other Olympians are supporting her, including Michael Phelps, who spoke very openly about his mental health issues when he was competing and afterwards. And it's a big conversation. And, obviously we're wishing her well and appreciate all of the amazing accomplishments that she's given us throughout her career.
Yeah, well said by both of you. And support to you, Simone Biles. You get well. Take all the time you need.